I had a dream last night that I was late for this class and I was running and running and running, and I ended up back at my office. So I think I should start off slowly. According to the lists of people who are registered, there's not enough room in the class, so I'm going to be taking attendance for the first couple of weeks to try to sort that out. My guess is that there's a lot of people running around asking at Yali's Cafe where Warren Hall is, so especially if you're some reasonable major, you wouldn't be over here. So I'm going to pass around an attendance list just so we can get a sense of who's there. And it just has the first 4 meetings. Just check off your name if you're here. If you're not here, don't check off your name, okay? And if you're a PAX major, just put a check next to your name on the left. And then there's a second list for wait list. Okay. How are you? I hope most of you got a couple of CourseWeb announcements from me. Did you? Okay, so that did work. Eventually, those of you who like to use CourseWeb, not everybody does. So you've done that. You have the syllabus. Okay. I brought some extra copies. The syllabus is also going to be right in the front of the course reader, which is at Copy Central. But I'm going to pass these around. They're 2 pages. What? Hold on a second here. Yeah, they're 2 pages back to back. Save a couple of trees, but they're not stapled together, so just pick 2. Also, I made an announcement on CourseWeb. I'll be doing that quite frequently when interesting things come up. This was for a film called I Want My Father Back, and the time for that has been changed. It's this Friday from 12 to 2:30. This Friday, 12 to 2:30. It's still in room 20 Stevens. This is probably not going to be a very happy movie, but the relevance of it will be that we're going to be talking a good bit about the struggle for environmental rights, particularly in India. I think there's a seat over here. And this is where the rubber meets the road in terms of globalism from above, globalism from below. And as a result of that, hi Jenna, you can take this chair and put it inside there. As a result of that, a large number of farmers in India are committing suicide, and that's what this film is about. So I'm not saying that this is going to teach you a lot about nonviolence, but it's going to teach you a lot about one of the problems that people have been trying to address with nonviolence. As you've noticed from going through the syllabus, we've got a lot of different ways we could have organized the course, and so I decided not to organize it. I'm sure this is just delightful, spontaneous. No, but seriously, I decided a long time ago that maybe the best way to do it was by the type of struggle. So we start off with insurrectionary struggles, which are the most dramatic because they're the biggest, and that's where you have entire nations and entire regimes being overthrown or not being overthrown. Nonviolence doesn't always work, as you know. And then we go to struggles that are what you might call reform struggles. They're anti-militarist, but they're not aimed at overthrowing a regime. They're just aimed at reducing militarism or something like that. And then we'll look at globalization itself, which is kind of the matrix and master framework in which all of these problems are happening. I'm going to be talking about that a little bit today. And finally, what is going on, and this is really probably going to be the most exciting and upbeat and fun part of the course, and also the most difficult to get into focus, what is going on in terms of building a nonviolent culture. We're going to be talking today about what people are calling the Great Turning, some people anyway. It's a struggle that's really taking place throughout human civilization right now. And the progressive people who are trying to make it come out in a good direction are like, Mike, why don't you come in the other door and grab this chair? That's what the last part of the course will be about, and that's where I'm going to try and have a lot of guest speakers come in and tell us what they've been doing, and everything from think tanks to new economic practices to struggles of one kind or another. Okay, put on the board something that I'm very proud of, which is a new website, or a website that's just gotten a new look. And this new look should go live today. So let no one ever tell you this is not an on-time course. There is a chair over here if you want to. You'll be okay. Robbie. So that's one resource that you will be able to make use of throughout the semester. In fact, I'd actually like to invite you to be a part of it if there's things that, this website is for 3 audiences. Well, it's for the general public, but never mind general public. It's for activists, journalists, and educators. And I would put most of you probably in the first category. So if there's something that you'd like to know, or a mistake that you spot, or something like that, let us know about it, either by telling me or just by going onto the website, info@metacenter.org, and pointing it out. It's going to have at least 1, maybe 2 blogs, whatever they are. No, not that old. And I think in the course of this semester, we'll really be able to build it up into something good. It'll be useful all over the world. Another interactive kind of resource for us would be a Peace Power magazine, which is produced every semester. I think it's the first entirely student-run news magazine or magazine dedicated to principle of nonviolence. And it's very handsome. It's going international now. By next semester, it may not be a student publication anymore. So one of the feeds for that magazine is your papers for this course, or other papers that you get interested in writing. There's another resource on the web, and there's lots and lots, of course, and they'll all be on Metacenter eventually. But we're still going to be looking at Gandhi a lot, and there's a big listserv and resource comes out of Berlin called gandhiserve.org, and it has the collected works of Mahatma Gandhi online. Now, I've been told by Gandhi scholars in India that the collected works of Mahatma Gandhi is maybe 3/4 of the stuff that he actually wrote. There's little pieces tucked away in various little ashrams in India. But anyhow, it's a lot, and the published version in print goes to 98 volumes, so it's not like you'll be lacking for material. And the way you get into it is you go to that particular link for that, I think it's called Webbook or something like that. It's pretty obvious on the homepage. I love it when people say something on a computer is pretty obvious. You never find it. But I think this really is pretty obvious. And then you have a search function there, and so you put in a phrase like, teaching is not a trade and cannot be practiced as such. So you put in something like practiced as such. And it will give you the titles of the volumes that have that phrase in it. You go to that, and there's another search function which will take you right to that place. So it's an incredibly good way to get to Gandhi material, which we're still going to be using during the semester. Those of you who don't know who Mahatma Gandhi is, there's a wonderful movie called Lage Raho Munabhai, which is probably the best Bollywood movie ever made, which is not saying a lot, but it's a lot of fun, and it will introduce you to the way Gandhi is coming back in modern India, which is sort of fun. So let's see, that is it for the resources. You know that we have a reader, which I thought I would have copies of in my box, but I suspiciously don't have them. So has anyone been to Copy Central? Is our reader ready? 1 o'clock today? Okay, I will speak slowly. But later on today, you'll be able to get that reader, and it's organized to the extent that it's organized. It is organized the way the course is organized to some extent, which is by these 5 different types of event. So looking around the room, I can see that about a quarter of you have had PAX 164A, which is very good. I refer to them as my A students. I don't know why everybody laughs when I say that. And they will be a very valuable resource for you when you're panicky about something that I've spewed off without realizing that you never heard it before. Take them across the street to Yali's, find out what kind of tea they want, and sit them down and get that information from them. If you have had the A course, you are likely to feel, in a way, a kind of letdown when you start taking this class, because we had the great luxury of studying nonviolence as she has spoke. You know, nonviolence as organized by the great advocates of it, namely Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., whose birthday we are celebrating today, when things were really kind of as close to the ideal as you're going to get in human life. Okay, it's not very close, but these were extremely inspiring movements by very charismatic leaders who actually were spiritual figures first before they became leaders of political movements. Most of you know there was one episode where Gandhi was at some kind of a cocktail party. That doesn't sound likely. He was at some sort of social event, and there was a British prelate there who said, "Ah, yes, Mr. Gandhi, we're both men of God, aren't we?" And Gandhi said, "You are a politician disguised as a man of God. I am a man of God disguised as a politician." So don't think that in nonviolence you do not get to tell the truth sometimes when it can really matter. So these were incredible figures. Their like has not been seen again. And we really saw principled nonviolence in action in PAX 164. And it's great. Well, this semester we come down to the real world. This is where the rubber hits the road. We're going to be talking about a large number of movements which, in my vocabulary, and you will be familiarized with this very soon, they're either constructive program or they're obstructive program, but they're not both. You know, they're strategic nonviolence trying to become principled nonviolence. You'll be familiar with all these terms pretty soon. So I'm just forewarning you that don't expect to find things are going to be as exciting and rosy and inspirational as they were last semester, but you'll be able to see through the grubby kinds of events that people have had to do, emergencies and partialities and gray areas. You'll be able to see the force that's working there. Okay, so the course has a midterm and a final paper just the way A does. Probably it's a little too early to start talking about the paper. We'll be giving you some, in fact, in the course reader, there's a cheat sheet or whatever you want to call it with some tips on how to write a paper for this course. I do not assign topics. You can write on anything, which in a way is not very easy to do. You can write on anything that enables you to explore nonviolence as it has been happening for the last 40 years. I guess I should say at this point that even though we're talking about the nonviolence that's post-Gandhi King, in each case we're going to try to get a bit of historical background for that, so we're actually going to be looking back to the World War II era and then coming up very quickly to what's going on today. What I really want you to be able to do by the time you get out of this course is to realize it when you're seeing a nonviolent event and be able to analyze it and be able to predict this is not going anywhere because they're violating Nagler's law or whatever mistake they're making, or no, this is really going to work, this is the one that I want to put my body on the line for, and frankly be able to step up things and tap some people on the shoulder and say, you know what, if you were to do this a little bit differently, you might find it to be more effective. And they would say, well, what are you talking about? And say, you'll be able to come back and say, well, look at what happened in Burma in 1985. You know, they tried this and it worked. So really, that's what the whole course is geared to. The reason that journalists are one of the main audiences for our website is that they are basically totally clueless about nonviolence. In a way, you could say they're clueless about everything. I had a student who joined the staff at the San Francisco Chronicle, and she shared with me that their motto is, if it's news to us. But here we are in close proximity to Northgate Hall, and I'm dissing journalists. It's not that they aren't intelligent and idealistic in many cases, but they have never been told that there is such a thing as nonviolence. So they see it happening right in front of them. They do not have a frame, borrowing a term from Professor Lakoff. They don't know what they saw, and therefore it doesn't stay with them. There was a literary critic many years ago who said the function of a critic is to fix impressions by naming them. And that's the first step in what we're doing. So you see something going on at any scale. It can be an interaction between you and your roommate, and you suddenly realize, oh my gosh, I've been hanging out with Nagler for so long that I finally did something nonviolent, and guess what, it worked. Or it could be a big event, it could be something you've been reading about in the news, and you will be able to read between the lines and say those people do not know what they're describing. And finally, as I say, you might be involved in an event. In fact, usually in the spring semester in this course, suddenly half the people aren't there because they just got arrested at Fort Benning or someplace like that. And I'm really secretly proud of them, though I pretend to be annoyed as a professor. So you actually will have a very good likelihood that you'll be involved in something at some level, and you'll be able to do it more effectively and help your colleagues do it more effectively because of what you've learned here. So that's my high ambition for this course. And that's how it's going to work. There is a fair amount of reading. You're actually slightly in luck because one book went out of print. It happens to nonviolence books a lot. So there's a little bit less than there was going to be. It saves you some time and some money. But do you have any questions now about how the course is going to work? Yeah, John? No, the reason that we're in this godforsaken corner of the campus, apologies to public health students, is that we have absolutely no budget for this course. So we may be able to get a reader on some sort of voluntary basis, but that's not the best we'll be able to do. Yeah. In fact, I guess there's a fourth goal for this course, and that is that you go back to your parents and your communities all over California and tell them that PAX does not have enough money to operate. Yeah. Maybe you could get on a motorcycle and ride around in Sacramento until you bump into the governor and strike up a conversation with him as you're lying side by side in hospital beds. And maybe the best way we're going to present our case. So as you've probably noticed, the course is being webcast, and I feel very good about that, but there's a right way and a wrong way to use the webcast if you're in this course. The right way is if you get deathly ill and there's no possible way that you can come to class, or if I went over something too quickly and you didn't get it, or you're back home in Riverside and your parents have never heard of nonviolence and you want to show them what you're doing at Berkeley. All of those reasons are very good reasons to look at a webcast for the course. To use it as a reason not to come to class is very bad, because as you'll soon see, even though I'm sitting up here in one of these rigidly bolted chairs for the time being, the class is going to be very interactive and it's really conversational. If you're not here, you really miss something. Okay, any other questions about nuts and bolts of it? Another thing I might repeat, I guess you've probably seen it on CourseWeb or something if you are new in the sense that you haven't had PAX 164A. There's two good ways that you can catch up really quickly. The book Search for a Nonviolent Future really came out of this course. What I did was I took this course and I retooled it for non-Berkeley students. Not that I have any special fondness for non-Berkeley students, but they are the majority of the population, so I figured they were worth saving also. And also we have some copies of this very handsome booklet, which you can have for only $5, and of course it doesn't go into nearly the same sort of detail as Search, and I'm not saying that the one substitutes for the other, but if you want one of these to sort of get some of the really basics quickly, this would be a good way to do that. It's called Hope or Terror. It was brought out last 9/11 because, as usual, the world, while it was fully aware that it was the 5th anniversary of the recent 9/11, nobody seemed to be aware there was the 100th anniversary of the birth of Satyagraha in South Africa. So we brought these out, published 6,000 of them, sent them all over the world, including Minnesota. So I think that's all I have to say in terms of resources for right now and in terms of how the course works. Please. Catherine? Oh, to see these webcasts, the easiest way is probably to go to the university's website and just put in webcast and then go to Peace and Conflict Studies. As of last semester, this was the first and only PAX course that was being webcast. But you'll see right away whether it's me or somebody else up there. But that's the easiest way to do it. There's a faster link. I'm sure I can get it. You guys put it up here later. Okay, good. Okay, anything else? Anything you want to say by way of expectations you might have had coming in here? What are we going to cover? What are we not going to cover? Before I launch into what I want to try to share with you today. Okay, off we go. If you are a PAX major, you are aware that there are basically two definitions of peace out there in the world. There is negative peace, which simply means the absence of war, and there's positive peace, which means the presence of something else. So that breaks down into negative and positive. Negative peace means simply there is not a war going on. So this is wherever there isn't a war going on, there is this quasi-peace condition. There could be this horrific injustice, people hate each other, they're stockpiling arms like mad, but it's not in a shooting war. Armed conflict isn't happening, so it's not a war. The, quote, best, as in stupidest definition of peace that I ever heard, which was a negative peace definition, and I think it's in my book, Search for a Nonviolent Future, was developed by the U.S. Navy, and millions and millions of dollars of tax money went into this, I'm sure, and they came up with a definition of peace which is perpetual pre-hostility. Perpetual pre-hostility. Well, if you can imagine walking across Sproul Plaza and all of these booths, these card tables are set up, and going to one of the evangelical groups and saying, my perpetual pre-hostility I give unto you, you will get a clear sense immediately of the difference between negative peace and positive peace. Negative peace is an extremely uninteresting subject, which is studied by most political scientists. Positive peace is a lot harder to define, and the way I define it is a regime in which all parties spontaneously desire one another's welfare. You could also use a Gandhian concept for that, which is heart unity. Heart unity prevails. Heart unity, well, okay. Some of the A folks want to try and define heart unity. I know there's been a long break in between. Joanna, do you remember what it was? Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it means that I realize you might not have heard that. I'm going to try and find out if there's a way of shutting this off. A non-violent way. What Joanna said was, pretty much starting from what I said, spontaneously wanting the well-being of the other person, wanting them, you said to prevail, I would prefer to say to thrive, because prevail means they have to beat me. I'm not sure I want that, but I want them to succeed at any legitimate goal that they have. And that means that I can have this feeling with them regardless of differences. It's amazing, like any kind of differences, including differences of power. They can be in charge, and I could not be. And I still want them to be good dueños, be good rulers, be in charge, good in charge people, and do that well and be happy. And when to the degree that you have this condition prevailing in any population, I would say positive peace prevails in that population. And that will lead to structural definitions like justice will happen there and so forth. Okay. And the other main factor that you learn about peace, if you're a peace and conflict studies major, I hope you do, if you don't just learn about globalism, that you should also learn that peace is a little bit like an onion in that it has concentric circles. Negative peace folks always start with the biggest circle. There's no armed conflict, we don't have armies on the march, we have peace. But the minute you start looking at positive peace, you see that there are 4 concentric circles to it, and it actually starts, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 5, but who's counting? But it actually starts within the person. You have to be at peace within yourself. If part of you is at war with another part of you, not only are you going to be unhappy, but that's going to spill over into your social environment. And as you know from last semester's brief foray into positive psychology, and this will be on my website, there's now a huge lot of scientific evidence. And it seems huge if you're not a scientist. I'm sure to a scientist it seems like just a drop in the bucket, but there's a comfortably large amount of scientific evidence that people influence one another directly before you even get to words and stuff like that. There's these things called mirror neurons, which mean that, like, if I shrug my shoulders like I just did, the nerves in your upper trapezius